Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today I'm going to be talking about AIHS. So I'm going to be doing technical analysis, then I'm going to go through the company's overview and the previous performance, and then I'm going to go through how I'm going to be playing the stock. So without further ado, let's go to the 1 month, 1 day. So this stock has been slapped with an offering at 0.5 per share. So the technical analysis for this one on the 1 month, 1 day perspective might be a little bit rough, but what we get to see here is that the stock is oversold. Trend is broken here on the average directional index due to an offering. You get to see momentum has lost a little bit of momentum from what it actually built, but it only has lost it all the way just back for 31st of July. MACD was curving up, going towards the positive, which was amazing for this stock, but the offering just dipped it a little more. But we might actually still see that kind of recovery later on as well. In terms of the moving averages, what we get to see is that the 30 EMA and the 10 SMA are very close to each other, but the 30 EMA is slightly above the 10 SMA. We get to see that the stock is just under the 200 SMA at 0.57 and the 200 SMA. So, sorry, 50 SMA. So, offerings usually do break that kind of technical analysis and a bit more off the indicators, so that's fine. We're gonna do is 1 month, 1 day, 1 hour perspective. You get to see here on the MACD that it's actually curving upwards, and that's really good news. You want it to curve upwards and see a little bit of a positive rise over there. 30 MA is above 10 SMA, which is understandable from perspective of an offering, but here's the good news is that it's coming into the trading action zone very likely, and that's where you see reversals there. So that's a possibility of a reversal, just easy to be there. ADX shows a possibility of a trend almost forming in from earlier on today, still sitting in alright around 21.36. Once it hits the 25, it becomes in a very strong possibility for trend forming. The stock is oversold almost all during the day, except in just a little when it went a little bit closer to neutral at 10 a.m. Momentum seems to be picking up backwards, and MACD, as I said, looks bullish here. Moving on towards moving averages, what we get to see is that the stock is way below that moving average band happening here. So there's expectations for it to kind of pull back upwards. It has dropped under the 200 SMA since the first time ever in a while, but that's not a bad sign for an offering. That means it's actually been stable for at least the 0.57, 0.56 mark. In terms of supports and resistances, what we get to see here is that there is the next resistance on the Fibonacci retracements is at $1. Now we can assume that the Fibonacci retracements open starts here, and we get to see a 0.84, another one there. The next resistance sitting in terms of just untraditional, we're looking somewhere around 0.61, and then we're looking above that around 0.72, and then above that we're looking at 0.79, above that 0.81. And then above that, we're looking at 0.93. So there's a lot of upside on this, especially coming in at 0.50. Now, the stock barely just touched the 0.50, and it did jump right off from there. So that looks like there is a lot of interest for this stock to be picked up, especially with a 0.5 that usually offerings dip below there. So that's very interesting to see. It shows that there is strength in that one there. So now moving on towards news, basically, and what we're seeing on the stock here. This is the company's website. So it's in the description below. I'm going to go through their presentation and try to a little bit relay into what they actually work on. So basically, outside of China, they are one entity. Inside of China, they do have a few different parts or multiple different equity interests that they have, different companies that they work under, or they have under them. So they had different things. They were an IPO, they were an online lending platform previously, and they basically moved on from online lending services to more of leasing services and financial assistance for automobiles. We're looking at here in terms of business overview is that they're seeing an online ride-hailing industry in China with an industry of $60 billion, with $333 million for is how much people paid in terms of the hailing users. Let's try to move on. There's different financial information here that does look interesting. And something that I really do want to highlight here is their more of business. So They work under auto sales, auto operation leases, and auto financial leasing. So basically, procure and sell qualified vehicles to ride-hailing drivers. The major revenue source of auto business. Provide automobile rental services to individual customers to engage in ride-hailing services or meet their personal needs with lease term no more than 12 months. The current business focus on the auto business and driving major growth of the revenue in the future. Provide automobile financing through finance leases with lease terms of over 12 months. And basically it's just more information here. Facilitation of automobile transactions between third-party sellers, sales team, and automobile purchasers. Facilitate sales between, same thing there. Manage insurance referrals and GPS installations, license plates and permits, etc., etc. So they do have some sort of dealerships as well. Agreements. We're looking here on basic cash flow, payments from purchase price, from monthly installments, loans and leases, and proceeds to the company from different operations. Moving forward, so they have a website and everything in an app. Just going on key competitive strength of auto business. So they process financial leasing, license leasing. This information has been mentioned previously in this presentation. What else are we looking at here is we're looking at accumulated value of automobiles served above $18.3 million, more than 1,300 certificates owned, and number of completed transactions more than 2,500. They're one of the 8 companies in that district with DMP, driver managed partner status by Didi. Didi, that one I believe is more of the Uber equivalent in China. So they do have basically supplies for leasings for those ones. On July 4th, 2020, they entered a $7 million investment from Hongyi Industrial Group as an affiliate largest shareholder of Chengdu Road and Bridge Engineering Co., a construction engineering company publicly listed in the A share market in China that invested with them. What are we looking else at here? Financial overview. So it looks like from year to year they had a really massive increase in terms of revenues, comparing in from 15.7 million from 2.5 million. That's a really interesting highlight. So investment highlights here: they're expanding the automobile leasing and online ride-hailing markets in China. They offer more attractive automobile financing and operating rental solutions, ownership of finance leasing licenses and automobile certificates, and they achieve excellent risk and credit control through continuous innovation and R&D. That's basically their investment highlight. And they have different catalysts coming in all the way to 2021, and it seems that they actually are doing some interesting work there. What I'm gonna, for instance, not long time ago, and here I'm just switching quickly screens. What you get to see is that they did release a good news just yesterday, and that's a little bit of an improvement for what the company is growing on. So this is one of the latest news here is they signed strategic corporations with agreements with large auto dealer group to expand auto business to increase access to electrical vehicles. So they are also playing on the EV industry in China, which is actually very much growing in hand. Now, moving on towards different financial and different forms that they submit. This one is the 8K form, which is basically the offering as well, the 0.50 offering per share for dollars, so half a dollar. And then we're looking at, this one is basically the exact same thing. This was just basically the 424B5 form, which basically warned people about an offering that happened yesterday. And then we're looking at an 8K form here. This one here, nothing significant basically that does simplify other than the EV. So that's basically the exact same thing I just showed you with their agreement with their EV of the auto dealer agreement, the dealership agreement. This one here is the notice of delisting or failure to satisfy. This one is about increasing their equity shareholders to $2.5 million. So they need to formulate a plan and send it by August 24th to still maintain on their listing. So we do expect some kind of PRs or whatnot to increase either the price of the equity or to formulate a plan. So that would be interesting to see. In terms of the 10K form here, basically the last part of the presentation that I did show does go through and shows you a little bit on the difference revenue. So in terms of revenue, they did succeed quite a bit in terms of revenue, and in terms of gross profit, you're seeing a 3.4 million compared to 740,000. But here's the thing, they do have, in terms of bad debt expenses and different expenses, quite a bit more expenses, so their net loss has been higher, but it seems that the revenue is actually increasing. So there is both positive and a little bit of bad news there, but it's quite interesting to see what this company has. So how am I going to play it, and what do I plan to do for the stock? So definitely the stock offering does close on Thursday, so I do expect for it to see a little bit of a jump before there. It not breaking the 0.50 does show a strong indication for support there, so that is as well as amazing to see. And I do expect it to at least reach the 60s cents, and it's definitely considered a buy or averaging down for me just in this case, as you get to see that it did jump quite a little multiple times frequently before. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure you mention it down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and you have a wonderful day.